Those who have been following Culture Express from the beginning might recall how one of our earlier episodes was on ancient Indian board games. But now that the Rio Olympics has started, it is the best time to revisit the history of our sporting arenas. So this week, I'm going to try to tell you a little something about ancient India's outdoor games and sports. The first mention of sporting activity can actually be traced back to the Vedas. The Rig Veda mentions mushti yuddha or fist fighting that may be compared to the modern day boxing. We find some references in the Rig Veda, the Atharva Veda and the Vajrasayeya Samhita of the Yajurveda of a festival called Samana. Contests of archery, chariot and horse racing were held at this festival, not very dissimilar from ancient Greek Olympics. There were several such festivals celebrated in ancient India which served as platforms for sporting and artistic activities. Names of these seasonal and annual festivals occur in texts such as the KASHIKA and the KAMASUTRA. In the medieval times, we find full-fledged sports-based texts such as the Malla Puran and the Manosollasa. We can therefore infer that games and sports were an integral aspect of the social life in India, being played nearly on all occasions. At the philosophical level, this injunction is supported by the concept of Dehavad. This expounds the attainment of spiritual perfection by completely mastering one's physical body. The Hatha school of yoga upholds such ideas. Further, the epics, Puranas and Buddhist literature provide ample evidence of the predominance of outdoor games. The Ramayana and Mahabharata provide many references of sports, especially of the martial variety. The Kuru and Pandav princes were trained in various skills such as archery, swordsmanship, the use of hand weapons such as javelins, clubs, discs, etc. Speaking of martial training, deadly forms like the famous Kalaripayattu emerged from the south of India. These forms eventually travelled to nations like China and Japan with Buddhist monks and apparently served as the basis for martial arts such as karate and judo. The only modifications were the removal of weaponry in keeping with Buddhism's non-violent principles. Training of these sports and martial skills seems to have been restricted to the Kshatriyas, and transgressions such as those by Ekalavya were duly punished. Arjuna's peerless archery and Dronacharya's impeccable training are even today held as the benchmarks. The highest honours in Indian sports for sportspersons and coaches are called the Arjun and the Drona awards respectively, after these epic characters. BHIMA, JARASANDHA, BALRAMA and HANUMAN are also considered great champions of Indian wrestling. Other games played by Kshatriya and later Muslim royalty included dice and hunting. There was supposedly a polo-like game played by the Chalukyas and the Mughal rulers too. The Chandalas, on the other hand, were known to play with iron balls and bamboo poles. The latter sounds a probable precursor of hockey, doesn't it? In Buddhist literature, we find some very specific names and techniques of certain outdoor games. These include the Pariharapatha, that was something like the modern day hopscotch, the Shantika, that needed one to collect and arrange pebbles with one's foot, Ghatika, that can be compared to the modern day Gilli Danda, Akka, the game of marbles, and Mokhachika or gymnastics. Other games mentioned are the Bharashram or weightlifting, the Bharmanashram, and a curious form of wrestling called the Mallastamba, which involved the opponents fighting while being mounted on the other person's shoulders. Today, such acrobatics may be seen in the native sport of Mallakham or pole gymnastics. Whether these sports were played for competition, amusement or fitness, there is ample evidence that Indians of the ancient and medieval periods were players and lovers of sport. It's time to revive that spirit as we cheer on for our modern day sports heroes at the Rio Olympics.